This is how I suffered from mental illness, survived a suicide attempt, and I'm now living my best life. Looking back, it's kind of weird now being here, but I always thought it was kind of weird that someone could not want to live. But I guess it started in about 6th grade, where I started wondering about my future. Because around that age, that's usually when schools want you to look into college, what you might want to do when you grow up, what kind of plan you have for yourself. And I never really had any plans. So I always kind of struggled with what I was gonna do after school. So in 7th grade, those doubts about my future started taking a turn for the worst. When I started to get into cutting, I think I wanted to feel something other than just depressed. Around when I got into 8th grade, I started cutting a little more and feeling a little less.
One of his teachers in 8th grade became really concerned, and that was probably the big highlight. The teachers were more so than me, and and he probably said more to them than he did to me.
As an educator, we are not trained to look for particular signs in our students, signs of depression and anxiety. We are trained to look for major behavioral changes, because a student that has their head down all the time may just be tired from working their job full time. But if you have a student that is incredibly engaged in school, for paying attention, that might be acting out.
They're in the classroom. They got the kid for 8 hours, and I got an hour in the morning and 3 hours in the evening, and you're running around for soccer and stuff like that. So I don't think the teacher saw any one specific thing. I think it was something that they noticed overvent, that he was one way and then all of a sudden he wasn't.
So when you look for signs and symptoms, you're not looking for specific behaviors. What you're looking for are specific changes in behavior.
When I felt anxious, just about everything, like a test coming up, am I gonna do well? Am I gonna have a good grade? Am I gonna pass this class? Did I do well on my homework? Are my friends going to like me? If I had done this a little better, I could have scored a goal and helped my team win. I guess all sorts of thoughts just started kind of staying in my stomach, and every little anxious thought that I had just kept building and building. I would wake up at 5:30. I would have breakfast, and then I would go out before the bus came, and I would puke up everything I just ate. And then I would get on the bus, and then I would go to school. My anxiety and depression eventually, I guess, started working together and appeared in sort of like a physical pit in my stomach. Nothing really showed up on x-ray, but just because nothing showed up didn't mean it was any less real to me. I knew that this pit in my stomach was eventually get the better of me. I knew that I couldn't really talk to anyone about it because at the time, I thought that being a man wasn't talking about your feelings, was just taking everything upon yourself and going against the world with it. So I started making a plan of what I was gonna do and how I was gonna do it. One day that I felt I couldn't really go on anymore or hold it off, I chose that day. I had written a note previously in case I didn't have the time later.
The difference is my office door is always closed. And it was nighttime, and that light just told me something's wrong, because that office door is never open, and that's where the gun safe is.
I grabbed a shotgun. I tried to find a bullet for it. At the time, thinking about it now, It's funny because I chose a turkey shot, I think it's called. I'm not really a gun guy. And I remember I was gonna pick the slug, but then I thought if this hits my spine and I'm still alive after this, I don't wanna be paralyzed.
And I went running outside, and it's dark. We live in the middle of nowhere. There's no lights except for way down at the end of the road, and I could make out his shadow, and our driveway is 100 feet long. I had 8 guns, and I could see it was a shotgun, and he told me to stop. And Mom, just get your phone, call 911, I need help.
I had them call the police. After a few minutes, the police got there. I had them call an ambulance.
And it seemed like forever, but it was so short in time. And they're screaming at him, drop it, drop it, drop it. And finally he goes, I can't. And all of a sudden we hear a click. And I was told he didn't realize he had the safety on.
And once they called it, I did it.
And Colton just kept saying, Mommy, my leg's cold. I'm sorry, Mommy. Mommy, I'm sorry. I love you. I'm like, it's okay, baby. It's okay.
The main reason I shot myself in the stomach compared to anywhere else was to get rid of that pain that had been weighing down on me and making my life so hard.
But we tell our story so other parents don't have to have those tears. And other kids can know they can talk to their parents, they can talk to their providers, they can talk to their teachers. That millisecond of I have to doesn't mean they have to.
So I'm definitely doing a lot better. I don't really have anxiety anymore, which is great. Since I've lost my leg.
Colton had a goal when he was still in the hospital, which was what his driving force was, that he was going to walk across the graduation stage. And that never wavered. And so when he got the chance and he was finally cleared and healed to get a prosthetic, that is what drove him every day, and literally every day. And he put that prosthetic on and he was walking in between those brace bars for physical therapy. And when he was finally able to do that, the entire gymnasium was crickets and a pin drop. And then eruption of applause and tears of parents and teachers, and it was just amazing.
Right now, I'm currently in college. I've also been working at an architecture firm for about a year and a half. I've been going through the works. I've been trying to make some money and further my education. He's
been doing it, and he just keeps getting better and better at it. And I can't wait to see where he goes with this in the future. Anything he sets his mind to, nothing's gonna stop him.
We have a lot of stigma around mental health challenges, and so sometimes we don't address them head on. But we need to treat our mental health just like we would our physical health. It's just as important. You know, if your child breaks his bone, that's an emergency. You know, if your child is talking about self-harm or wanting to end their lives, that's an emergency. And if you're concerned about your child, if they're doing alarming things, you can ask them point blank, are you thinking about hurting yourself? Are you thinking about wanting to end your life? Asking that question doesn't put the idea in their head. You know, you can ask, straight on, and that can be a good point to start a conversation, an open, honest conversation with your child.
In 988, I tell every one of my patients, 24/7, there's professional help, not only for the people that are hurting, but the people that care about somebody hurting.
The 988 number, the suicide prevention number, can really help us to make sure that students, young adults, have a place to go when they are feeling these deep, dark, awful feelings.
Some of the things that have helped me, whether it's playing video games, reading a book, scrolling through the internet, Instagram, social media, or just sitting outside and enjoying the weather, I've just learned to enjoy the moment instead of worrying about the future.